All right, Josh Johnson here. Let's talk weather. Okay, so a major winter storm is winding up now across most of the deep south. Boy, oh boy, would you look at that radar screen? You've got a big batch of snow on the northern periphery of this. Amarillo by morning, yeah, you'll have a few inches or more. Lubbock, Wichita Falls, snowing now at Oklahoma City and Tulsa, Fort Smith, Fayetteville, Jonesboro, Sikeston, Missouri, home of the Throwed Rolls. Yes, the Lambert's Cafe, they have a location there. You know, the Throwed Rolls place down in Foley, they've got one in Sikeston too. I would love to talk to them and figure out how in the world did you guys decide, I want two restaurants, one in Sikeston, Missouri, and one in Foley, Alabama. Like what was the process there? Anyway, snowing now at Paducah, Evansville, Lexington, Cincinnati, Indianapolis. Big, big snow. Now, look, a lot of this on the northern edge is getting eaten up by dry air. So some of this northern edge is not making it to the ground, but most of this in the middle is. And then you've got the really problem zone now, a pretty significant ice storm in progress across a lot of Tennessee, essentially all of Tennessee south of I-40, getting into a lot of that. Then freezing rain extends across portions of northwest Alabama back down into north central Mississippi. This is probably going to be ground zero for this entire ice storm. Will be right through here. I'm talking Grenada, Greenwood, Greenville, the Mississippi Delta, back up to Oxford, Tupelo, on up to Corinth, Mississippi. Big, big ice accumulations there. I'm talking this will be the type of ice storm that they talk about in North Mississippi for a long time. Then that extends back into northern Louisiana. There's a little break in it over Arkansas now, but look what's lurking back here. This is actually sort of the main system, right, associated with that ejecting piece of upper energy coming out of the desert southwest. So that's where we are right now. For us in central Alabama, quite frankly, not much to it yet. A lot of you have been dry today. It's been cloudy and cool, but not cold. You've got rain now beginning to fall in Marengo, Perry, Green, Hale, Sumter, Choctaw, Clark, Washington, and Mobile counties, mainly along and west of US 43. It's raining there. This will spread east over the course of the next few hours. This will end up being sort of a wet night across central and south Alabama. Let's do this because I thought this was kind of fun. We did it the other day. If you make the mouse big, it's easier for you guys to kind of see what I'm looking at. So I'm going to pop into my settings here real fast and give us a big old mouse. Look at that. Look at that thing. You could see that from Millbrook, couldn't you? Some of you are watching from Millbrook. You're like, that's not that far. I'm actually streaming this from the home office here at on Jasmine Trail in Prattville, Alabama, the World Broadcast Headquarters. You want to call it that? If you don't, that's fine too. So this is the high-res rapid refresh, and I've skipped ahead. This is 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Your time is right down here. See it? See the mega mouse down there? And what I'll do, I'll take the scroll off the bottom of the screen there before we go any further because it has already done its scroll thing. We'll pop up the socials there, down south where you can see everything. And then we'll do some good old-fashioned model analysis here. So for reference, Montgomery sits right up here. Here's Dothan. Some of these cities are labeled. I wish there were more labels, but this is actually a new website I found called synopticwx.com. I'm a pivotal weather guy and weathermodels.com. I love Weather Bell too. There's a lot of good ones, but this one, the mapping is really, it shows up very vividly on these live broadcasts. They've done a great job with their user interface, and it's pretty easy too, which I like easy. Okay, so let's scroll you forward in time here. There's 7 a.m. Still not much going on. It's raining cats and dogs north of 80, west of 65. So Demopolis, Marion, Plantersville, Clanton, it's pouring rain. A few scattered showers and storms pop. This would be now you're out to, that looks like 8 a.m. Yeah, that's 8 o'clock. Showers and storms firing here. But at this point, though, it's still the air is still relatively probably cool and stable. That's on the leading edge of the warmer air that's surging in from the southwest out ahead of this mess of storms. Then we get to 9 a.m., those initial band of storms now getting north of Montgomery. And look, tomorrow's going to be a day where warm air surges up out of the Gulf. How far north the warm air makes it will determine any risk of severe thunderstorms. So then we get out a little farther in time. This is now noon. And you've got a line of storms now bearing down from around Lake Mitchell to Prattville to Lounsboro to Pineapple to Monroeville to Foley. There's the line. Out ahead of it, there are individual cells. But remember, it's not one size fits all here. You know, around Auburn, these two cells up on the northern flank, those are all elevated above a layer of cool, stable surface air. And by the way, the temperature map at this point in time is going to look really, really weird, just because of the way this is going. I'll pop you out here. So look at this. This is crazy. So 60s. See what I mean? A little cool for severe weather up here north of Montgomery, but the front will be coming through, and this is one of these where, I mean, look at this. Ahead of the front down there in Butler County at noon, it's 70. You jump on the other side of the front, it's 50. This will be, I mean, you will feel this thing go through. We will go from 70 to 50, I mean, within an hour. I mean, almost instantly. This is going to be that kind of drop. So when you look, remember, the line of storms is right along this. When you look at the radar, understand that these southern areas where the temperature gets warmer, mainly along and south of the line from Demopolis to Selma to Montgomery to Phoenix City, that Highway 80 corridor and south, right down in here, that's where we're really kind of zeroing in on this low-end severe weather risk. And it is that. Remember, this is not going to be, you know, some massive outbreak of tornadoes. But I do think within this line, there could be a few pockets of strong wind and potentially a few areas that rotate. The best chance of that would be between about 10 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon from Montgomery south. So, all right, we'll go forward in time a little more here. So we're now out to 11 o'clock in the morning. Let's pop forward a little bit. There's noon and 1. And there's 2 o'clock. Now, by 2 o'clock, this has cleared Montgomery. The severe weather risk is winding down at Auburn. It's mainly south of you anyway, quite frankly. What you would be looking for at this point in time would be these little, see that? The model there is trying to hint at a little miniature embedded Boeing segment, a little miniature Bow Echo down there in Bullock, Barber, and Pike. So that would be, again, 2 in the afternoon, where you could deal with some pockets of strong wind out there. And then down to the south, same thing. And there would be enough wind shear down here to at least, we need to mention the threat of a tornado. I'll tell you straight out of the gate here, I don't think there's a big atmosphere for tornadoes in this. And I'll show you why. We'll pop in and show you the 0 to 3 kilometer storm relative helicity. And, you know, the higher values are over here in Georgia. You have some helicity out ahead of this, 200 to 300 meters per second. That's actually not a terribly unfavorable number for tornadoes. But you look at the overall environment, the lack of directional wind shear, the wind shear's lifting out as the storms arrive, that sort of thing. It really argues for a lower end risk. That said, the significant tornado parameter, those numbers get up around 1 to 2 down here. Again, mainly well south of Montgomery. And, you know, I'll be totally transparent. I really think the main tornado risk tomorrow is about Mobile to Opp to Dothan and points south. So the counties that touch the state of Florida, in my view, that's really where the risk of a tornado is kind of maximized in this, would be down here. But we'll be watching it. So that's 2 in the afternoon. Let's keep rolling forward here. There's 3 o'clock, and notice by 4, it's basically in Georgia. Leftover showers. Now, look, these will become important because, you know, we don't need the roads getting wet right before the cold air rushes in. That said, just just looking at Montgomery, because this will be about the same everywhere, I think. Okay, Montgomery, the rain ends at 6 o'clock. Okay, so how fast do we get cold after that? We're now kind of pivoting to the idea of let's try to predict the possibility of any black ice forming. Black ice, again, is ice that forms because there's leftover rain on the road and the air freezes. The air gets to freezing very quickly. But look, 6 o'clock, Montgomery's at 43 degrees. And you scroll forward in time here, this takes a long time, guys. I mean, we don't fall below freezing in Montgomery until 1 in the morning. That's 7 hours that it takes for the air temperature to drop to 32. Now, remember, in Montgomery tomorrow on Sunday, it's going to get up to 70 degrees most likely. And the pavement is going to absorb a lot of that warm air. So it's going to be very difficult to form any sort of widespread black ice. Where it could happen would be probably far west Alabama, in some area where the water table is high, where you have very moist soil that is above the surface of the road and drains down onto it, but it also needs to probably be a bridge. And it also probably needs to be protected from the west or northwest by a hill or some trees to keep that northwest wind off of it. So you see what I mean here? You end up to envision ice forming on roads, you're really having to thread this needle of if this and if that and if this. So again, I've said all along, and I'll maintain this, I do not see any widespread black ice potential in our area. I think the air is too dry, it's windy, the pavement's warm from the night before, and it just doesn't fit the profile of a big black ice problem. Now, that said, if you're driving on Monday morning and you see what looks like a wet spot on the road, treat it like it's ice, just to be safe, right? There's no reason to, you don't need to adjust any of your plans, but I do want to just have you in the right mindset. When you're driving to work or school on Monday, if you see what looks like water on the road, just act like it's ice. What does that mean? Take your foot off the gas. Do not slam on the brake. That's the worst thing you can do. Do not coast, do not swerve or anything, just coast. Take your foot off the gas and coast until you don't see what looks like water on the road anymore. That's literally the secret to this whole thing. So that's that. The other thing we need to talk about is how cold it gets. Quick answer, really cold. So going on through this, you'll notice by sunrise, most of the area is now below freezing. We've dropped into the upper 20s out here in West Alabama, and it just doesn't go up much from there. This is just Monday is going to be a raw, cold day. Temperatures will rebound a little when the sun comes up, but look, this is noon, and we're 32 degrees in Montgomery. We're 32 at Troy. We're still in the upper 20s over there in Marengo. It's just a brutally cold day. And here's maybe the worst part of that whole thing. It's not just that it is cold. It is also very windy and cold at the same time. So at this time, wind speeds are 18 to 20 miles an hour with an air temperature of around freezing. That will drive wind chill numbers down into the upper single digits and teens most of the day Monday. So let me dive into this topic too. There have been a lot of schools that have gone virtual. Some of them are mentioning the possibility of black ice. And look, they make their decisions, and I'm not here to second guess their decisions whatsoever. I just tell you what I think is going to happen. I think, though, the wind chill being what it will be Monday morning, and the idea of some kid standing out at the bus stop when the wind chill is 12 for an hour, that probably worth having a virtual day alone, right? Not everyone has access to coats and jackets and gloves and scarves and hats and all those things that you need to stay warm when the wind and the cold are really howling at you like that. So, it may be the right call, but the only reason I bring this up, some of these schools that have decided to go virtual on Monday, they have mentioned icy roads as the reasoning there. And I just want to be crystal clear that we do not expect widespread road icing on Monday morning. We'll watch, we'll see, right? It's a forecast. I'm not perfect, neither is anyone else. So, but I do want to just, again, communicate what we think is going to happen. Severe weather-wise, the Storm Prediction Center has this as their risk area. Essentially Linden to Marbury, to Wetumpka, to Beauregard, and points south from there. Again, I would argue that your tornado risk is maximized in the Florida Panhandle, Mobile, Baldwin, Escambia, Covington, Geneva, Houston, Coffeedale, and Henry counties. So really Mobile to Dothan would be kind of the corridor where I think the tornado risk is probably a little higher. Even there, it's probably a level 2 risk down there and a level 1 risk for most of the rest of us. Don't get wound up on exactly where you fall in this map. Tornadoes and storms have no idea that some guy's drawn this map. So there's no reason to get wound up there. Okay, let's go into the long range now. The first thing you need to know is it is going to be stupid cold for all of next week. There is not a warm day in this forecast. This is the European ensemble that you see here. And I hit big and it got smaller. Go figure. So the red line is normal. You'll notice we're way below that. This goes out 15 days and we stay below normal. And I'll tell you this right now, in terms of just day after day cold, this will be the longest, this will be the most intense 7-day stretch of cold that we've had in a long time, in that, we're not going to get down to 12 degrees or anything, but day after day after day, highs are in the 30s and 40s, and lows are in the teens and 20s for 7 straight days. That's unusual for us, right? Typically in Alabama, it's you have 3 days like that, and then it gets up to 55 or 60. Not the case this one. It's going to be cold all week because we turn really cold Monday. Monday night is the coldest night. The Euro Ensemble has 19, and most of the rest of the data is in that same boat. The operational Euro is at 19. The GFS ensembles are at 22. They're a little warmer if you want to call it that, but that's probably a tough argument to make. And then the national blend of models it's actually at 17. Some of the higher res stuff is colder, and look, the higher resolution models will do better with this because the key driver for a lot of this cold is going to be the fact that there's a thick blanket of snow and ice on the ground deep into Mississippi and Tennessee where this air is coming from. So it's sort of like putting that air on ice, right? It doesn't moderate as it moves over land because the land is covered. As you see on the camera right below me, which by the way, that's downtown Nashville via our sister Gray station WSMV. And we'll pop that around too. I've been looking at a lot of their cameras today. There's another shot of downtown. This one's pretty cool too. This is from Nissan Stadium in downtown Nashville. So it looks like this across most of the Mid-South right now. So there's been a lot of talk about the possibility of a winter storm at the end of next week. Now, right now, the operational runs of most of our major computer models have this system suppressed, pushed south down into the Gulf. Historically, these things, not all the time, but a lot of times they trend north as you get inside 6 to 7 days, 7 days. This last one did, right? Remember that? There were boneheads sharing snow maps for North Alabama that showed 10 inches of snow. And that band of 10 inches of snow is now in Indiana. It shifted north 500 miles. So they do that sometimes. So understand that there is some signal in the data at the end of next week for there's going to be some cold air in place, and there's going to be some sort of area of low pressure that forms in the Gulf. The issue is, where does it form? 500 miles offshore, or does it form over Mobile Bay? Because those are way different things. And the honest answer is no one knows yet. Remember, kind of my framework for a winter weather forecast in the Southeast is days 7, 8, 9, and 10. All I can tell you is the pattern favorable? And right now, I would say yes, the pattern's favorable. You've got a big trough in the east. You've got some subtropical moisture. You've got some cold air nearby. There's the idea out there of a Gulf low. Once we get to days 4, 5, and 6, we can start to talk about ideas, scenarios, and trends. Do not confuse those with forecasts. They're not. Forecasts come 1 to 3 days before a winter weather event, and a forecast includes who gets what and when and how much and what are the impacts and what do you need to do about it. So me telling you that the idea's on the table or here's a scenario of one computer model, that's not a forecast. A forecast is a hand-drawn graphic or map. And look, I'm going to let you in on a little secret in the weather world. You can always tell a forecast that is generated by a human. Good forecasters are going to give you a range. If you see a map that says 11.3 inches of snow 6 days from now, a human being didn't make that. Some computer did. Humans are going to draw you maps, most of which don't have sharp lines on them, that will say 1 to 3 inches or 3 to 6 inches or 6 to 10 inches or ice or snow. There will be ranges given, and there will be uncertainties that will be communicated to you. So please understand, if you see some scary looking map that shows 23.8 inches of snow, it's raw computers. It's just a computer. It's not a forecast. A forecast is something developed by a human that tells you who gets what and when. That's my sermon on that. So I will show you the data though, right? So this is for Montgomery. This is the European Ensemble. And I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 50 that show some snow around, give or take a day or two, around the end of the month. So January 31st through February the 2nd. Now, some of these show a lot of snow, just in full transparency. 2 of them. 2 out of 50. 2 out of 50. That's a 4% chance. Of any snow at all, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 6 out of 50. What would that be? That's a little over 10%, 11, 12% chance of some snow. So the chance isn't zero. And look, guys, most of the winter, this map doesn't have anything on it. This graphic, it has nothing on it most of the winter because there ain't no chance of snow anywhere. So that's the European ensemble. Here is the GFS ensemble, and it goes, nah, you're good. 1, 2, 3 out of 30. Again, I guess that's around 10%. It doesn't have any of the big dogs like the Euro ensemble does. And just because I like you guys, I will quickly show you the. This will be a map of the Canadian ensembles. And what I'll do here, I'm going to show you, this is not the amount of snow you get. This is just how much moisture falls. Because I actually do think it will be cold enough that anything that happens will probably be snow. And look, this is actually one of the better signals you'll see. This actually shows some decent moisture on the mean across parts of the southeast this upcoming weekend. I'm talking January 31st into the first day of February. So look, bottom line here is there is some very weak signal in the noise out in that period, and the pattern's favorable. That's all anyone can tell you right now. We're not forecasting snow. A forecast is who gets what and when. So if you're going to come on Facebook and tell me I'm an idiot because I blew a forecast, make sure it was actually a forecast that you saw. Again, a forecast is who gets what and when. This is not a forecast. We're talking patterns. We're talking ideas and scenarios and trends. That's it. And the only reason I'm even doing it is because knuckleheads on Facebook are going to share extreme computer model ideas that get you guys all worked up about getting 30 inches of snow. So I am here to help fight that fight to get good information in your hands. A lot of people are griping. I thought we were getting an ice storm this weekend, and now we're talking tornadoes. You're an idiot. We never once forecast an ice storm here. We showed you some scenarios that were on the table more than 3 days out. We got inside of 3 days. We gave you a forecast that there was not going to be any freezing rain or sleet anywhere in the southern half of Alabama. And guess what? That forecast is going to be correct. So, I don't know what to tell you. If you're really mad about it, there's an unfollow button. Just adios, my friend. So as we close this thing down, I'll go back. We'll go back to radar carefully or closely here, and I will zoom you out so you can see the scope of this thing's crazy. This thing right now is producing snow from Virginia to Texas and ice from Mexico to Tennessee. That is a huge piece of real estate. Pretty wild. So let's do this. Famous last words here. But I'm going to go into the comment section. What am I doing? Why would I do such a thing? Why in the world would you do that? Actually, I'm not sure the comments are on right now. So that maybe that's the good Lord saving me from myself, right? I'm kidding. Most of y'all leave really good comments. Most of y'all leave really great questions in your comments, by the way. It's one or two that bad apples. Not bad apples. You're not a bad apple. If you're mean to me, you're not a bad apple. God loves you too. But yeah. So I'll tell you what, if you've left a comment with a question on it, I will answer. I'll type you up a quick answer. By the way, that may be short because there may be a lot of comments on this, but yeah, there you go. I think what I wanted, well, no, I've got it labeled live cam, so I don't want to mess up my cool labeling. I know it's super cool, right? So that's the Nashville cameras. I've been looking into West Tennessee as well for some of their stuff. Ice storm just raging right now in Memphis. 17 degrees with sleet. Are you kidding me? Yuck. This is back into Arkansas. That's Jonesboro right there, covered in snow and sleet. A lot more on the way, as you see on the radar there. And then again, this is downtown Nashville. This is our sister station, WSMV, which, by the way, you can, if you're really just a huge, like me, if you're just into the weather, you can go stream right now. Just search for, if you're interested in Arkansas, you can do KAIT weather. They're in Jonesboro. They're kind of right in that middle of that heavy snow axis. We've got stations in Memphis, Tennessee, Paducah, Kentucky, Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Search for WSMV Nashville, KAIT in Jonesboro, WNC in Memphis, On up into Kentucky, Wave in Louisville, WKYT in Lexington. You got some good ones up there that you can stream. Just search for their apps wherever you get your apps, download it. You can stream and watch their coverage of this whopper of a winter storm. So, again, to kind of summarize it, big snow, big ice, northwest and north of us. We will not deal with that. We have a risk of strong to severe thunderstorms in South Alabama between 10 o'clock tomorrow morning and 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. The risk is mainly for the possibility of 1 or 2 pockets of damaging wind and or a brief tornado. Let me show you this is the SPC tornado outlook. And look, I'm transparent. I tell you, the SPC is really good. I think the main tornado risk is probably along and south of Highway 84, down here in the southern sections of the state. But look, just as a course of least regret, everyone kind of be in a position to hear weather warnings between 10 to 4 tomorrow, 10 in the morning, 4 in the afternoon. Also, some pockets of damaging wind. We'll pop into that quick. Here's that severe wind outlook. Again, the area outlined in yellow, the greatest risk. I think you could make the argument it's mainly south of that. Then it will turn sharply colder. And I do mean sharply, guys. I'm not sure I'm really doing a good job of helping you understand what a drop in temperature this thing's going to do. Look at Montgomery. So this is noon tomorrow. And Montgomery Regional Airport, if you see it, it's right there. It's 70 degrees. I'll put a dot on there. It's easier to see. 70 degrees, noon tomorrow. 1 hour later, it's 52. Temperature drops 18 degrees in 1 hour. I mean, it is literally going to be like someone flips a light switch, just boom, almost instantly. And there will be a big gust of wind that kicks up along this front too. So just be ready, batten down the hatches, because this thing is going to get wild and woolly very quickly in terms of that. So, as always, thanks for hanging out with me on this live stream. I guess we could keep it going, right? What are you guys up to? You doing anything fun on Saturday? I'll readjust the camera if I'm going to lean back in the chair a little bit. What hoodie am I rocking today? We're going Las Vegas Raiders. So the sports hoodie story, I went to a Troy game with Charlie many years ago. And this is embarrassing to admit as a meteorologist, but I wore a T-shirt and the sun went down and it got cold. And so Charlie and I went over to the Troy bookstore and bought us a Troy hoodie. And that's kind of started a tradition that now whenever we go to a sporting event, even if we're not really cold, we'll buy a hoodie. And so a few years back, my wife and I were in Las Vegas and she bought me this Las Vegas Raiders hoodie. Now, the issue with it is I kind of feel like a poser because I'll be walking around with it and I'll run into some Raiders fan and they're like, yeah, silver and black, go Raiders. And I'm like, yeah, go Raiders, man. Woo. When really, I like the Bills and the Titans. I like the Bills because Charlie likes them. I like the Titans because I'm a sucker for misery and entirely hopeless football seasons that usually end with being in contention, not for the playoffs, but for the number 1 overall pick because you've lost the most games in the NFL. But hey, I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter. You're bitter. So it's been better to be a Bills fan, although they fired their coach, so that didn't necessarily go great either. But yeah, you may see me around town in all kinds of athletic hoodies, and that's the reason why. I've got a Raiders one. I've got a Bills one. I have a Toronto Maple Leafs one. That was super fun. That was we wound up in Toronto, and Charlie and I went to a Maple Leafs game. Which, by the way, professional hockey's fun. It's pretty intense, but pretty fun. There was a guy behind us who had some really colorful language in his Canadian accent, which Charlie was extremely amused by. It's neither here nor there. But yeah, I got my Maple Leafs hoodie, got my Braves hoodie, which I actually am a Braves fan, so that tracks. But anyway, if you see me around town in a weird hoodie, or a hoodie that seems completely out of place, now you'll know what. Now, some of them, if you see me in a Bills hoodie, or I like Troy, I like the Trojans. You see me in an ASU hoodie, I like ASU, Hornet Nation. But you may see me in some that you go, I didn't realize you were for the Maple Leafs. Well, it's a great sport, eh? That was not what the guy behind us was yelling, but it was, a little Canadian anyway. So, there you go. That's the story of the hoodies. Isn't that a super fun story, gang? The comments tab, I was going to try to show you or answer some of your comments live, but for whatever reason, the little comments button in my software is not showing up. Isn't that weird? It is kind of weird, right? So anyway, I'll just write you an answer to those. That won't be too terribly hard. Trying to get it to do, but it won't do. It is essentially dooless. But maybe that's for the best. Somebody may be on there calling me all sorts of names. Funniest name I've ever been called, in case you were wondering, is Biscuit Head. Which, yeah, look, I got a big old noggin. There's no doubt. I wish it was full of brains, but it's mostly skull. I got called Biscuit Head one time, which that one honestly cracked me. I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. I would call me that too. That's pretty funny. Then some of the other ones I definitely cannot repeat. This is a family-friendly live stream. So there you go. Before we go, bitterly cold, right? And look, that Monday of 38, that's probably in the morning. I think there is an extremely real chance that we stay around 31, 32, 33 all day. Remember, too, that's the air temperature. The wind chill number Monday morning is just going to be, no way to sugarcoat it, brutal. In fact, instead of sugarcoating it, I'll just tell you what it looks like, right? So this is probably our best high-res model at that range. We'll go out to our most recent run, which will get us in there. We'll pop into the local view here, and then we will do 2-meter wind chill and heat index. All right. Now, remember when you look at this, a couple of things. One, this is not the air temperature. This is the heat. This is the wind chill. Two, the wind chill has absolutely nothing to do with your pipes freezing. The only thing that matters with that is the air temperature. From a dripping faucet's perspective, it's going to be a definite Monday night. And I'll tell you this, when it comes to that, I would start dripping one right around sunset Monday evening, and then drip it until the sun comes up on Tuesday. Don't wait until you head to bed, because frankly, we're going to be so cold so fast that don't play with that. That's pipe bursting cold Monday night to Tuesday. The rest of the week, honestly, is going to be kind of borderline. I don't think you need to do it Sunday night necessarily. Monday night, you definitely do need to drip a faucet. And then Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, we're not clear enough on that yet. We'll wait till we get there. So this is Saturday, essentially right now, but watch this. As the Arctic front blows through here. Look, I mean, this is just crazy. The wind chill in Montgomery goes from 65 to 48 in an hour. So it really bottoms out around sunrise on Monday. And you've got the wind chill down into the teens and low 20s across most of the area. And it really just never recovers. In most of Alabama, the wind chill will not go above 30 degrees all day Monday, meaning it's going to feel like it's in the teens and the 20s all day long. And then we get to that really bitterly cold. I'm going to switch back over to the actual air temperature because I want to show you Monday night. That's the core of the cold, is Monday night into Tuesday morning. These numbers are all way too warm. They've got us in the upper 20s. Rufus, what have you done? That's the name of the model, by the way. The RRFS. I guess we'll just go with the blend. That'll probably be pretty accurate. So let's skip ahead here again to Monday night and the Tuesday morning. That is midnight. That's 6 a.m. This is more like it. You're some of West Alabama down around 15, 16 degrees, 17, 18 into Tallapoosa, upper teens and low 20s. Look all the way down to the Gulf Coast. This is going to be brutally cold with upper teens and low 20s across the entire southern half of the state. Again, this is Monday night and into Tuesday morning. So this is when, again, you would need to drip those faucets. So, anywho, there you have it. There you have it, friends. That's the latest from what I see. All right, I'm going to get off this thing and go enjoy some family time. I'll probably be at work tomorrow due to the risk of 1 or 2 brief tornadoes in the southern sections of the state. I think it will be Madeline Banks and I manning the fort tomorrow, with Amanda and Nick ready to go if called upon, which I always appreciate. We have a great team. And yeah, so that's what we'll plan on that. Hope you all have a wonderful afternoon and evening. We'll watch for the risk of some strong storms tomorrow. The overall risk level fairly low, though. Take care. And don't forget, by the way, we've got WSFA 12 News tonight at 6, 9, and 10. So you can get a full weather update there on the air. And then, of course, we've got updates on WSFA.com and on the First Alert Weather app as well, and I'll keep the socials